So moved.
So moved. Thank you, Mike. Do I hear a second?
Second.
John, I think you're second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Change order 138 in the amount of $0 passes. Thank you. We'll go on to change order number 139.
ECO 139, the two walk-in coolers in the kitchen. This is to install the deep fill floor setting. It is being charged to the CM contingency for a cost of $6,509.
Questions from the committee?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Why is it coming out of contingency?
The CM contingency? The contract.
Was it not known that it would be needed?
It was missed in the contract buyout.
Well, wait a minute. Before, is it in the documents?
Yes, but it was missed in the buyout. So when
Wait a minute. When you award a contract, don't you award it according to the plans?
Well, so
Don't they bid according to the plans? So they
Well,
should have it.
yeah, so how things like this fall through the cracks sometimes is when we're reviewing the documents, we have to put all these bid packages together because unlike say a GC job where it's like you own everything, we've got 28 different trades. And we put all that front end bid package together saying you own this part of that, you contractor B own the other part. And there are some instances where when we're going and saying you do this, you don't do that, there are instances where we actually miss giving it to someone. So contractor A and contractor B don't know that we want them to do that work. And we occasionally have some of those gaps that we then have to fill after we award the contract. That get missed as we're designing the bid packages.
Okay, but just explain to me exactly what this is. Is this a depression in the floor, or is it the insulation underneath the cooler, or?
It's a depression in the floor. The coolers come with a recessed flooring, and it gets infilled with a cementous material, which levels it up to the building slab and creates insulation, so it doesn't, freeze or crack the floor below.
So it's the installation of that component that they didn't have?
Correct.
And it wasn't set when they poured the floor?
It's poured inside the cooler, so it's not the building slab or integral to the building. It's inside the cooler itself.
The cooler sits on top, and this gets inside the cooler. All right.
Correct.
Yeah, there was a depression inside the cooler.
I understand. Okay.
And the insulation includes, it's in the depression, right? There is insulation on the cooler, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But it's all set above the floor slab motion.
The insulation has to be below the slab.
Well, I don't think that's what they described to me.
No. This is within the cooler. So the cooler. Yeah. So when the slab was poured, where the coolers sit, there's a depression in the structural slab. The coolers sit down inside this depression, and then this fill goes inside the cooler and brings it up level with the building floor, and that creates the insulating factors.
All right. What is this fill? What is it? Is it just a cementitious material?
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
And who was supposed to be responsible for the floor inside the cooler from the very beginning?
We gave it to the flooring contractor.
So he had the floor.
Bid.
He had the floor. Yeah. So there's no cost for the actual floor within the cooler. This is just to bring it up those couple inches, or else it would have been a step down getting inside the cooler.
I'm just curious. Where is it specified? Is it in the cooler spec, or is it in the flooring spec?
It was noted on the shop drawings from the cooling manufacturer.
Oh, so it wasn't listed in the either spec.
I don't believe I don't know off the top of my head if it was in the spec, but I know it was definitely on the shop drawings.
Well, that's the point. If it's in the spec, somebody should own it. But
Besides us.
Yeah. And when they bid on it, they should include everything part of that spec unless they make an exception to it, which should come up. But, you know, I would just say, before I was to approve that, I would just be curious as to where if it is specified and if it is, where it's specified. If it's not, then it's, you know, it was never included in anyone's bid, so to speak.
All right, Dave, yeah, Dave, the issue here, right, is that we don't have mud set floors anywhere else on the project. They're all thin set, or we don't even, right, even all the bathrooms all thin set.
Yeah.
The problem is that it shows a tile floor in the cooler.
Yeah, but Dave,
Correct.
But it's a component of the cooler at some point. I mean, it's a specialty that it's got to be. You would think it's specified in one or the other. If it's
Well,
not
you know-
specified, that's fine. All I'm asking is to check on
Yeah,
it, so
yeah.
if it's specified somewhere.
John,
We'll
I'm
review.
thinking about the cooler, and the inset that was spec'd for the original concrete floor is pocketed out to accept the cooler.
Right.
And, you know, the depth of that pocket is on the blueprints.
Right.
So the flooring guy knows that when they put this cooler in, it's going to be 5 inches into the hole, so to speak. And then
Yeah,
somebody's going to have to come
yeah.
in and, you know, raise that up, you know, to, you know, 4
Well-
inches or whatever to make it, and then they put tile on it.
But
So-
Rich, if I could step, yeah, that depends on the cooler. I'm gonna be honest, the flooring guy doesn't know what kind of cooler you're gonna put in there. So whether it needs fill or not. I
Right,
mean, it
right.
Could be an
right.
insulated panel, could be I'm just using an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah,
So it should be specified somewhere. If that's the cooler that was selected, it should be specified. All I'm asking is, just tell me, if it's not included in any one of the specs, that means it certainly isn't owned by anybody, and then we have to pay for it. That's all.
We will get back to you, John.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
okay, I think we have enough information to entertain a motion for this. Do I hear a motion? Or do you want to wait? John?
Well, we're gonna table it until they come back.
You wanna
with the
table it?
answer. Yeah,
Okay, all
Yeah,
right,
we'll have an answer for next meeting.
okay, all
that's
right.
fine.
We'll table 139, move on to 140 RI. 140 RI is a credit, John. That's nice. Let's hear what this is about, Jay.
So, PCO 140, in the vestibule of 122, there was conflicting information as to whether it's going to be a sheetrock interior or metal siding interior. And the decision was to go with sheetrock, and the credit is for the metal paneling of $2,022.
Okay, any questions from committee members? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
John,
Second.
second, Mike, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Change order 140 RI is accepted for a credit of $2,022. PCO number 141.
PCO 141 is the installation of floor protection in a portion of the cafeteria and a portion of the gym. And the cost comes in at $4,599, and it's to the owner's contingency.
Was there any allowance or contingency for flooring protection in the bids?
This is,
this wasn't.
This is a request
This
from
wasn't-
the school. It's not temp protection that we do from the construction side. This is for future classrooms and to protect the new flooring for when the students utilize this in the future in the cafeteria in the gym area.
I'm happy to speak to this one if it pleases the committee.
Go ahead, Mike.
So what we're going to do in order to make the next phase flow is we're going to be using some of the new gymnasium as cafeteria eating space, and we're also going to be using a portion of the cafeteria as art room space. And what we want to do is we don't want to find ourselves 6 months from now when we transition to the next phase where we have damaged those brand new floors. So what we asked was if there was a sort of a layer that we could put down so that we could use that brand new gymnasium floor as this place where kids could eat, but also that we could clean up if stuff was spilled without damaging the brand new poured rubber flooring.
Okay, thank you, Mike, for that update.
My pleasure.
Just a question about the phasing is that in the original plan, we had planned to phase the building, of course. And, somewhere in the original plans, we had some kind of, phasing plan for the use of these new parts of the building that we were going to get turned over to us around this time of the year. Has there been a lot of change in that process, which is okay? And I'm not saying
there's been a little bit of a shift since the
Okay.
project went to referendum. We have increased the number of classroom sections that we need in the building, and that's caused us to lose some of those spaces that we would have used for an art room instead.
Right.
So it definitely has had a ripple effect of having to move people into some, for lack of a better term, less desirable spaces than we had when we had the perfect plan when we brought this to bid.
Right. So this is just a modification of the actual physical use of the space that we have been able to get, a CO on, and therefore we're, like you said, protecting that floor.
Yep.
For future, for the proper use later, once we get the other phases done. Okay. All right. Any other questions from the committee on this item? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, John. Second,
Second, Soskin.
Soskin. Thank you, David Soskin. Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion for change order 141 in the amount of 4599, 4,500, it passes and is good to go. Thank you. We'll go to change order number 142.
PCO 142 is for Bulletin 33, which is the addition, which is adding in a gutter and downspout at the roof for entrance 122. And the cost for that comes in at $1,998.
Questions, excuse me, from the committee?
Yeah, can somebody explain it? It seems like it's errors and omissions. That's the way it's being treated.
Track this up.
I-
Go ahead, Rachel.
Sorry, go ahead, Beth. Yeah, I can speak to it.
Yes,
So
thank
our drawings did call for an aluminum gutter at the low roof at vestibule 122. So we did show a gutter. However, we provided some additional details for the connections to the metal panel. And upon looking at it with the landscaper, we added a maintenance strip and some splash blocks at the location where the water is going to run over grade. It's just an added layer of protection against freeze thaw on the sidewalk and protecting the landscaping over time as the water runs down the hill. So the gutter itself was to be a part of it, but I think the cost add is just for the additional protection and details that we added in.
Is this the only location where rainwater is going to be directed over grade?
Yes. Yeah, it's 150 square feet roof. It's very small, and the water runoff that we're anticipating at that location is minimal.
So it's $2,000 for a splash block?
Well, Dave can probably maybe speak to the breakdown, but there's you have to dig down a little bit to add the maintenance strip. There's some rocks there as well, so it's probably a little bit of added labor as well.
Yeah, the labor and material that go into completing this task. Yes, it comes in at just under $2,000.
Dave, can you just explain what some of the other scope of work is that's in it, though? Does this involve mid-state?
No, it involves Silktown roofing. It's actually adding in some metal material downspout. There is a splash block and a little bit of grading. In putting in blocking around the perimeter of the roof to support the gutters and downspouts.
Definitely very labor heavy, as far as cost goes. That's where the bulk of the cost is coming from. The material cost is just over $400. The labor cost for 14 hours is just over $1,300.
Sounds like a safety issue in terms of long-term water / ice on a walkway. Is that correct? We're solving
Yeah,
that. We're solving that.
That is correct.
Okay, all right. Keeping that in mind, I'd like to David's phone. You have a comment, David?
No.
No, you're good. Any other questions or comments from the committee?
No.
No, I'd like to hear a motion.
Motion, Soskin.
Soskin, thank you, David.
Second.
Second, Mike Egan, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. PCO 142 passes in the amount of $1,998. Thank you. Next change order is $0. Change order number 145.
PCO 145 is in relation to the temporary wall for the cafeteria. After it was put up, we had to install the weather protection membrane, AVB, and it's a cost to the CM contingency, and it comes in at $6,754.
Questions from the committee members? Mike?
Is similar to what we had done for the owner's contingency. Can we just get a quick update on where the CM contingency stands?
Right now, the CM contingency, we are at about $645,000.
What's the
Remaining?
percentage?
That's what's remaining.
That's what remains. How much did you use so far then?
We used a little under 300,000.
Okay, so you got 600 more to go. Okay, all right.
And that number too, right, Dave, when we were looking at this morning, that number includes potential changes that we have some placeholders in for possible exposures as well.
Okay.
Correct. That includes items you haven't seen yet. Yes.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the committee? I'd like to hear a motion for this change.
So moved.
And second, John, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, motion is accepted, and change order 145 passes in the amount of $0. Number 147.
PCO 147 is for a temporary enclosure connecting the existing school into the cafeteria, tying it into the temporary wall. Originally, we're going to build it to encapsulate the piping through the chase, and then extended it over a little further so the doors that come from the school leading into the cafeteria, the kids have a warm passage and not exposed to the elements. This is a charge to the CM contingency, and the cost is $10,813.
Questions from the committee members? This kind of goes back to my question before for Mike. Has anything changed with, again, the plan to phase the building? And do we have an allowance for this? I mean, I know it's coming out of the owner contingency, or is it coming out of the construction? Where's this money coming?
This is CM contingency. Rich, if I could opine on this one. This one goes back to all the way early in pre-con when I was helping the team out with phasing and stuff. This is where the new Area B building connects to the existing portion that we're going to renovate in mainly phase 3.
Okay.
We had made some mistaken presumptions about the amount of where the new wall of the cafeteria was relative to the existing wall of the school where the areaway was,
Mhm.
and which is the same reason why that temporary wall was needed. We thought that we had the existing wall of the building that could provide the closure to be able to get people through
Right.
the east side of the school into the new cafeteria. And in reality, there was simply a gap there where we should have had a temporary wall designed in our documents. So previously there was a change to do the temporary wall itself. But this is now, in addition to that, this is an actual safe corridor to get people from the new building to the existing without exposing them to the elements, and also providing some level of protection to the utilities that are actually traveling between those two buildings in the interim. So that the basis of that started a while ago. This is just it manifesting. So it wasn't, I don't think it was made any worse by your phasing, Mike. More so it was a gap in our temporary partitions from the get-go.
Yeah, the phasing plan on our end doesn't impact that.
Doesn't affect that.
I only asked this because somebody mentioned errors and omissions before. Does errors and omissions insurance pick up that kind of oversight or no?
Well, this is really more of this is why it's a contingency. This is really more of a miss on our perspective. You know, as we're phasing jobs, it's our responsibility to make sure that we can keep the school functioning as we're doing it. And, you know, in several other parts of the building, we had designed the necessary temporary partitions and corridors. And this was one where we, again, I don't know if it's, I don't know how we necessarily missed it, but I think in doing some drawing overlays, we didn't truly account for the gap that was going to be created when we built the new space and as it relates to the existing.
Are there separate pools for phasing and protection and stuff like that, or is there just one CM contingency?
One CM contingency.
Then it comes out of that.
Correct.
Doesn't come out of the.
We did have a CM allowance for phasing, but we have been picking away at that as we've been changing the phasing a little bit as far as like the 1A and 1B and the 2A and 2B. So we have picked away at it.
Is there anything left?
Dave, I think if you correct me, I think there was a couple grand left in it.
Yeah, there's about maybe $2,500 left.
Right.
I think it originally started at 40. I mean, I recall
25.
What was it, 25?
Okay.
Yeah, but I do recall that that's where you were drawing your temporary work from.
It's tracked under CM contingency and also tracked as, you know, as Dave Cravenzola mentioned, an error, an omission all the way back to when they were planning in pre-con for it. So it is tracked to answer that question.
And just to kind of clarify something for David Soshin, is that the errors and omissions that we were talking about earlier with the design documents is not the same as what we're talking about now with miscalculations or missteps by the construction manager team. Those are totally separate.
Got it. Okay,
so I didn't want you to think that it was one big pool. It's really designed from Tecton and their people from an engineering and design standpoint. And then we have, of course, the construction management team, which is O&G, and they have their own contingency because, of course, errors are going to happen. I mean, you know, there's no such thing as a perfect plan or a perfect job, and this is part of the process.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay. Kind of a general comment that I think would help me. I assume everybody else is in this condition too, but the packet is so big that it almost crashes my computer every time I try and go back and forth. I know at one point we did request all the backup, but is there a way to split out all the bulletins and the change order backup and have the packet that we scroll through in these meetings be more manageable? There's a lot of good summary pages, but I can't access them because they're so far away from where we are in the minutes.
So you're looking to see just like the change order cover
Yeah, the cover, I don't think we need the full schedule every time. You know, it's good to have that information, but you know, a 20 or 30 page document should suffice.
Yeah, but
John?
Mike, if I could say, I think what might help is if you even gave us like one file that had all the change orders in it. It would be easier to access, because like even now, you got to go through so many pages to get down to where you are. Whereas if you had just like a file to go into the change order backup, you know, with the various change orders, that would be easy. And then you would just have what's relative to the particular meeting, you know, your reports in one file. Mike, does that seem like that would help?
Absolutely.
Jason, you think we can work with Carol to get that broken out? So just instead of sending one package as a whole, you'll get two links, one for the package and one with the PCOs.
Yeah, I don't see. Maybe put the invoices all in one file too, because then somebody can just access the invoices. It's just, otherwise, like I said, you got to go through 250 pages to find any one thing.
It's an easy.
Again, I think you requested that at one point, so I'm sorry if we're changing our mind.
Yeah, no, it's an easy fix. They all get sent over to Carol as separate packages, and she combines them for distribution. So we'll just have to, you know, figure out a way to make sure you guys are accessing all three links if we're breaking it out that way.
Thank you.
The schedule could be a separate file. You know, so you could just go look at the schedule if you want to.
Right.
Yep, I'll split them up.
Okay, thank you, Mike and John, with the packet. Back to the motion. I think there's a motion on the table, I believe. And this is for the PCO 147. Any further comment? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. PCO 147 passes. Yeah, zero amount to the town of Simsbury, of course. Here we go. We've got change order number 148.
PCO 148 is for changes and modifications made to the interior railings in both Building 1A and Building 1B. It's going to be charged to the CM contingency for the cost of $2,898.
Questions from the committee members?
What was the reason for changing the railings?
The shop drawings came back. There was talks about removing some pickets. That went back and forth. There was columns that the railings were decided to kind of wrap around, just for protection of children as they grab the railings so their hands don't hit the column. And then in corridor 133, the bottom section of the railing was extended out a few feet to go past where the ramp comes down and flattens out.
Okay.
We're on commercial break.
I know what happened. Did we lose Rich? We did.
He's been replaced by a swan.
Yeah.
It's a talking swan. Okay, so any further discussion on change order number 148 with the railings?
Yeah, they just told us why. I mean, I'll make a motion. So moved.
Okay, second, Mike, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Change order number 148 is accepted, zero cost to the town of Simsbury. Last change order number 149, amount of $22,008.
Yes, PCO 149 is for the soffit work in the cafeteria comes in at $28,008.
$22,008.
I'm sorry, what did I say? $22,008.
It's 28, which is fine. Yeah, spoke.
This is just for record from what we talked about last meeting.
Correct.
Correct, and this is the official change order.
Last time it was discussed, it was like 23,000 or 24,000.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit less money for additional money being spent.
So moved.
Second. Somebody.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, John. Any further discussion on this particular item? Hearing none, I'll move the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Change order number 149 in the amount of $22,008. It passes and we can move forward with that. I believe that concludes all of the change orders that we have to discuss tonight.
I saw something that looked like it was a change order for TRC. I don't know if that's going to go in the invoices or if we need to talk about that now.
And also, what about the Zach and Dave? What about the not to exceed?
So I'm not quite sure what the change order for TRC was, but I don't know if Jason knows more about that.
Is that in invoices?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was right before the PCO summary page in the packet.
Pull that up.
Give me 1 second.
$5,290. Is that what we're talking about?
No, it's $29,500. It looks like TRC is requesting additional funding for the next phase of the project for full-time monitoring on site during the abatement. It's for 7 weeks. Gives you the rate schedule.
Yeah, I don't have that. I can't comment any further on it. Anybody, any members have that document?
Yeah, I have it. I'm looking at it, but I thought we had already talked about TRC's extending their contract previously.
Most recently, ours was discussed, I think, at the last meeting for Arcadis, but TRC is different. Jason, I didn't even know this was being included. Did you know this was in here?
No.
It's on page 103 of the PDF.
I hesitate to push it just because they are going to be on site in a week. So do all the other members of the committee see it?
I don't have
Yeah, I
it
see
in
it.
my paper packet.
What was the original allowance for that, for testing?
Is this testing of the phase we're on now or testing of the next phase we're going to start after the?
It looks like it's related to the abatement that's going to be on.
Tri-State's contract purchase order was also increased, but that's for testing. That's separate. This is for abatement.
Okay, Tri-State's what I was thinking of.
Okay. So Mike, your question is now?
Do we need to make an action on it? It seems like it's important to address.
This is for
I
the
don't know if
abatement.
this came up in the review that just happened with the plan for how abatement is going to go, but it's seems like it's urgent to get approved if it requires approval.
Well, ONG is managing the job. What do you have on your
I
radar?
don't think it's a sub to ONG. I think it's an owner thing.
It's an owner consultant. Looks like the original contract that you guys approved was for just under $22,000 for services. I'm just trying to see now what that included as far as time and what it included.
Does anyone know if it's a new requirement to have TRC involved full time for abatement?
Is this the asbestos abatement?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a new requirement, but I have a feeling that they are requesting, they didn't request the entire, or maybe they didn't bid the entire amount at the start. I'm trying to read through their contract. Sorry, I don't know too much about this. This was something that Jack had handled before I was fully onboarded with the project.
Would this take us to the end of the job, or would this just for phase 2?
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. It doesn't seem like it.
No, it doesn't. Just seems like 7 weeks. That's it. Right.
Yeah, 7 weeks, and we have, yeah.
Dave, what's the current trajectory? I know Spectrum was mobilizing right now that the move is done. Do we know when abatement activities are actually slated to start up for phase 2?
Phase 2A is going to start next Monday, the 11th, and they have about 2 weeks of work. And then right after New Year's, we take phase 2B, and they got a few weeks of work there as well. That'll take them to the end of January, early February in that section.
And then subsequently for phase 3, do we have a rough timeline of how long the abatement work will be for them?
I haven't looked that far down the road, but if phase 3 is probably going to be about the same timelines. We're breaking that into 2 sections. I would say the first section will be roughly 2 weeks, and then the final section about 3 weeks as well.
The only thing I can think of is that this monitoring is due to the school being occupied potentially, versus phase 3 is not going to be occupied.
Can you do abatement with a school that occupied?
Yeah, yes, you can. It's went through a whole bunch of state approvals within the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And the Simsbury Public Schools sent out notice to the faculty and also all the parents of the students as well on Friday of last week. So they are all aware as well.
Seems like everybody knows about it but us.
Do we know how much we anticipated?
Should we approve the increase in the contract amount? Sounds to me like we really don't have a choice.
I'm just wondering if we got a quote from them at the beginning, plugged 20 grand in for what it was going to cost, and now it's going to cost us 100 grand. Who knows?
Well, it was 22 and then the 29, and it sounds like it might be another
29
for that. Right.
Yeah, I don't know if we have much of an option right now.
No, ONG, it's not their responsibility to handle this. Is this Arcadis's responsibility, or is this Tom Roy's responsibility? Who's supposed to coordinate this?
Well, I got to tell you, this is the first time I'm seeing this, and it's a little disappointing in terms of the overall quality of this ask. It's not a very well written letter in terms of it's not clear what they're asking for. I guess the question is, is there a concern that if we go forward, we have the upcoming abatement work, is TRC not going to show up if we don't approve this change order?
How much is it for, Tom?
29,500. I
Well,
have
we
a
could-
feeling that they're
we
going to show
could-
up whether we approve this or not, and we can always do it in the rears.
I think our budgeted line, our budgeted line does allow for this cost. It's our budgeted line is for 72,500. So I think I would, again,
Okay.
I apologize that Jack's not on here on the call tonight to speak to it directly, but my assumption is that we approved the initial $22,000, and this is just the next phase that they're requesting approval for the work to be done.
So
Because
someone was aware of the overall cost. It's just being billed to us in 3 phases.
yes, I would, again, I don't want to say yes exactly because I don't know, but that's how it appears to be. We have us in our monthly report, there's a line item on the overall budget that's accounting for an environmental consultant for $72,500.
And that money comes out of the money that we pay you? Or that's just,
No, they
Owner contingency.
they bill separately.
that comes out of the owner contingency?
Yeah, they bill the town, correct?
Yeah, they bill the town. It doesn't come out of the owner's contingency unless it goes over the budgeted amount.
Okay.
Just real quick, not to rush this decision, but I just saw the message from David Soskin having to jump off, at which point I believe we lose our quorum. So I don't know if we want to just quickly get the major items, the invoices approved, and worst case on this one, if we were to approve it, I think between Jason, Zach, and myself, we could make sure that nothing was expended that wasn't appropriate.
The other alternative really quickly is just to approve TRC to proceed with the work, and then we'll face the cost question next month when we have a better idea.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Hearing none. Well, we have a quorum that passes. And I think that leaves us to move toward to the invoices.
I still need to speak to that not to exceed potential change event as well. So if we could hit that before we hit invoices. Quickly, it's an amount not to exceed $5,260 for change event 261 as a follow-up to the soffit that you guys just approved and also approved as a not to exceed last month. The subsequent trades were delayed, so flooring, painting, etc. So this cost is for the overtime in order to make up the time that the soffit caused a delay in. At the time you guys approved the last change order last month or change event last month, that schedule push was unknown. So this is the cost for the overtime for subsequent trades to make up the time in turnover phase 1B for early January.
And that's in the amount of $5,260.
Correct.
And the date on that would be,
There's no date on it yet because it's not formalized.
okay.
So this is just authorizing O&G and their contractors to do the work, and we'll follow up with the formal change order because it's going to be time and material. There is a potential that the cost comes in less. Both Dave Parasol and the
Right, so it says here, motion to approve change event number 261, so we can at least call it something, in the amount not to exceed $5,260.
So what was the original amount? And is this 5,000 added to that?
So that original amount was the amount you guys just approved was 22,000 and change. But again, this is it caused a delay, which caused subsequent trades to be delayed. So this is for the overtime for those trades. It's not for the actual cost of the soffit and the install and material. It's just the overtime for the
It's the domino effect of the change to the soffit.
Correct.
And the wall, so to speak, that it caused the $5,260 cost. That something's not even done yet. That will be done relatively soon. Correct, Zach?
Correct. It's ongoing currently.
And
Right.
this is still being tracked as part of the errors and omissions.
Part of the $22,000, design of the soffit.
Okay,
Okay. You want to make that motion?
so moved.
I need
Yeah,
a
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Hearing, any opposed? Hearing none, the motion to approve change event number 261 in the amount of not to exceed $5,260 is approved. Thank you. And last but not least, we have the invoices. We have an invoice here from Arcadis, invoice number 344-02811, November 29th, 2023, in the amount of $12,318. Motion. Motion by Mike, seconded by Lucian. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. The motion carries. That invoice can be paid in that amount. We have an invoice from Tri-State Testing, dated 11/1/2023. Invoice number TSMT 12860 in the amount of $350.75. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes for Tri-State. The last invoice is application invoice number 12 from O&G in the amount of $976,890.53. The date is November 30th, 2023. Motion.
So moved.
Okay, I'm sorry. So moved. Second.
A second.
Second. Thank you, John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries and that invoice can be paid.
Did we get the SES?
Yeah,
sustainable
Tecton and
engineering
SES, right?
I only have 3 invoices here. I'm not sure what you're talking about, SES.
There's an invoice from Tecton for $20,973 dated November 30th, 2023, invoice number 46791. That would be up for approval if someone could make the motion.
I'll make a motion for that. It's in the packet, Rich.
Second.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. I don't have it here.
Yeah.
But I have a summary, but I don't have a packet.
It's in line, it's their typical billing too every month.
And the amount is how much?
$20,973.
Right, okay, $20,973. Okay, all right. And okay, all right, so that is the invoice is number 46791, is dated 11/30/2023. And you are correct, $20,973. I'm looking for a motion. This is for Tecton.
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you for the first and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries and that invoice can be paid. And there is Sustainable Engineering Solutions. That invoice number is 4204-11/22/2023 in the amount of $9,100. Looking for a motion for that.
Yep, so moved.
Second.
Thank you both. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the invoice to Sustainable Engineering Solutions can be paid $9,100. Okay. Well, I found the summary, but I still don't have the actual invoices for all that, but we're good. Any other comments or questions for Arcadis while we have him here? I think the last order of business is for us to move on to a brief discussion about the Eno. I don't know if Tom Roy is still here with us.
I'm still here. Yeah, we just had our swearing in tonight at 6 o'clock of the new Board of Selectmen. There's going to be assigning a new liaison to this committee if they haven't done so in the last couple hour or so. I had a talk with the town manager, had a talk with the first selectman. They're going to have a discussion with the liaison to see whether it makes sense to run the HVAC project for Eno through the PBC or not. I'm pretty comfortable with whichever way we go. One thing that may impact it and make the decision a little easier is if the construction project does not make it into the budget for next year, that would give us one more year to get everything lined up, which would certainly make it more comfortable to run through the PBC process. I did talk to CES, who had prepared the report for our facilities master plan with Tecton. We did bump up the number to, I think, 4.25 million. Just they felt comfortable with that number. And basically, we should have some more information next month on which way we should go.
Okay, Tom, thank you very much. So no action needs to be taken by us at this time.
No, sir.
The last item on our agenda is the approval of the public building meeting dates for 2024. I don't know if everyone has a copy of that or can see that on their screen. I would need a motion to make this official.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Well, and before we vote, just to let you know, is that these will be published as the official meetings of the Public Building Committee. But in the future, if we needed to make a change, we can make a change as a committee and change the date and have a meeting at a different date. But this is the schedule for this coming year.
There's a couple that we may have issues with coverage on due to holidays. We can look at that at a later date, but.
Correct. I think that for now, we should move forward and modify as needed.
Yeah, can I maybe propose at least for our next meeting is proposed for a Wednesday, January 3rd, just given vacations and timing. Is it possible that we push it to the second Monday in January, which is the 8th? Because all the submissions for all the consultants would be due the week prior, and there's going to be heavy vacations that week. So I'm just concerned about missing stuff that we might need for that meeting.
Unless there's approvals needed to keep construction going during break, I think that's fine.
What's O&G, what's their schedule like? I mean, is that going to affect them?
I don't think so, no.
No.
Eighth would be fine.
The 8th will be fine. Okay, we can make a change. The 8th would be the following Monday. It would not be a Wednesday, correct?
Correct.
Any other, back to the committee members, any other dates that jump out at you that you think we're going to have a problem with?
The July 1st, that whole week is usually.
I just looked at that myself and said, well, besides July 1st, any other problems you're going to have with this schedule?
And September 4th is probably a problem too.
Yeah. I think we can push those to a week as well.
Yeah, it used to be more complicated to make the change because we had to check for meeting rooms. But because we're doing, our meeting by Zoom, we don't have to do that. So therefore, we can change it now. But obviously, if we were meeting up at the Board of Education conference room, we don't want to meet in the hallway if we change the date. You see what I mean? That's why it used to be more complicated. So at this point, I'm fine with that. So back to July.
Hey guys, sorry, I don't want to mess up and ruin the whole meeting by leaving. I gotta run. I don't know if you guys want to table changing July and September dates to the next meeting. We could probably table that, or I don't know if you need me here to adjourn, but I gotta run right now.
Yeah, I think we'll just move the one date we just talked about.
Yeah,
and vote
let's
on
just move the one date and then deal with the rest in January.
That's right. So I need a motion for that.
Motion, I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll
and-
second.
Okay, we got plenty of motions. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. That's the new schedule.
Thanks, David.
Subject
Thanks,
to-
guys. Sorry.
Thanks for chiming in. Thanks for getting here too.
Sorry. Thank
Appreciate
you.
I'll
Take
just,
care.
I'll just note that the Monday, May 7th is really a Monday, May 6th, just for that correction when it goes out.
You're talking about,
Yeah, May 7th is a Tuesday, May 6th would be the Monday.
oh, okay, this is, the document is incorrect. So Monday, May 6th?
Yep.
Okay, we just made this a typo. That's no big deal. Okay. All right. Any other business from committee members or any other business from Tecton or ONG or Arcadis or?
Mr. Chair, just the offer to, for the January meeting on January 8th, kind of do what we did a couple of months back, which is happy to host a tour of the PBC prior to that meeting. We can, Jason can work with you guys and figure out the timing of that. But at that point, we will be fully in possession of phase one. And it would be great to get the PBC out here again to walk the 22,000 new square feet that we will be in possession of.
Sounds like a good idea. Thank you for the offer and
Absolutely.
Work that out with Jason and he can get a hold of us and we can, whoever can be there can be there.
Sounds good.
That'd be great. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. If nothing, no other business.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, everybody, for making time for this meeting. And I think it's going to be exciting to get out there, Mike, and do a walkthrough with, the finished product. It's, it's not done, but I mean, that section's done. So that's wonderful news. Okay, thank you very much.